treat others as you want to be treated. Here's how it applies to an office. First, of course, know your job. Enjoy it, but also enjoy the people that you're working with. Be considerate of them, and be considerate of your employer. Remember those simple rules of office etiquette, and you'll get along in the business world.
It is National Business Etiquette Week, and manners never go out of style. There are a lot more points, though, now. She said, remember those points, you won't go wrong. There's so much more to deal with. There's social media, even looking up from your cell phone while you're talking to your boss or coworkers. All these little things we need to know about, really pay attention to. And more people, Maryanne Parker, welcome back.
Thank you.
More and more are going back to work. For the first
Yes.
time in a long time, the number of job openings in the U.S. exceeds the number of unemployed Americans.
This is amazing.
So good news. Some of us might have been out of the job force, gotten back in, and need a refresher. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
We talked about the importance of networking, not being too pushy, but learning how to sort of go for the long-term relationship. Don't try to push. I've been to networking events where people are trying to book me for parties for whatever they're selling before I even leave, and I'm like, oh man, I'm too busy for this. So that can be can turn you off about those events,
No, definitely,
right?
because it's extremely intrusive, especially if you don't know them. You want to help, but not necessarily in this particular way.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
And about social media, and even while we're at our desk on our computers, we have to be careful not to interrupt people in their space, but if someone does need to talk to us, we have to give them our attention and not split it.
Yes. Actually, the space is extremely important because in the United States, we like our bubble. You see, we have this bubble, which is about one arm. And we don't want people to be very close to us because actually it's too intrusive as well.
Too intrusive.
And when somebody wants to talk to us, we definitely have to pay attention to the only individual who is talking to us. Sometimes we might be on the phone or we might be on the computer. And it's really rude when somebody really wants to talk to us, but we just push them away and we're just too busy and we don't really try even to pay attention to them whatsoever. So we have to make sure that we direct the attention only to them.
We might have to over-apologize and say, I'm so sorry, I can't chat right now. I've got a deadline. Can I get back to you? Just stuff like that, good communication.
Exactly. The communication goes along the way because they need to be informed. At the same time, you put the boundaries already because they don't need to ask you all the time. Some people are that way. And but at the same time, they know where you stand and you know where they stand.
Yeah, we also need to, if we're the class joker, we can't go around trying to do our act all the time on people who are trying to work. We have to rein it in.
Yes, for sure.
And then if we know someone else is a hard worker and they don't like to communicate a lot or don't like to visit or socialize, we need to let them have their space too.
Absolutely.
Speaking of space, taking care of, a lot of offices have kitchen areas that are used by all.
Yes.
And we all need to take care of them and clean them up, right?
Yes, and we have to take turns and we have to make sure that we don't forget our stuff there for 1, 2, 3 weeks and becomes really not very pleasant to be in the kitchen. Also, don't take anything from the fridge that doesn't belong to you.
You know,
because
this still needs to be
said.
I've read articles and it's still people saying don't steal other people's food, and I'm thinking we have to be told this.
Can you believe it? So I'm thinking you didn't bring it into the fridge and it's not yours. Probably sometimes even the name of somebody else is indicated on the box.
For sure.
So just don't touch anybody else's stuff. It's kind of a stealing.
It's
That's
just
so
nuts. When we go into, back to the social media of it all, when we go into meetings, we should turn our cell phones off, maybe turn them over, give our full attention to the meeting.
Actually, we have to turn off our cell phones because even if we lead the meeting, we have to make sure that the cell phone is away from us because nothing can be so much more important than the meeting in this very present, because if we have the meeting, obviously we have to discuss certain important points and our attention is going to be really divided if we're checking our Facebook, our LinkedIn account, our social media, we're responding. Obviously we're not there, we're not present. So we might miss a lot of things.
And that can get hairy too, because a lot of times people are actually taking notes on their iPads or their phones, and you don't really know what they're doing. And if you've got it open, other windows can open, and you know, people can try to talk to you on Facebook. You can get alerts you don't need at all. So it's just a lot to deal with and dissect.
It's a lot to deal with, but at the same time, it has a lot to do with the common sense, which we know that is not necessarily common practice all the time.
Right.
So we have to make sure that our attention is not divided. So
speaking of social media, I know that a lot of people do it on their own time. They tweet, they get on Facebook, they put pictures up on Instagram, Snapchat. There's so many I can't keep up. But we always represent our business, our company, whether we like it or not. And you know, better yet, we represent ourselves. I think we should put our best foot forward on social media. And some people don't. And your employer, do they have a right to get upset?
Well, you see, if we're referring to businesses, a lot of times we use social media to represent our businesses. We do a lot of sales, we do a lot of events, we do a lot of different things. But if you're part of a company, you have to be really
not having your own business with your own business page.
Exactly.
I mean, if I'm say I'm employed at an office, say UPS.
Yes.
And I work there, and I can even put, boy, I hate Mondays. This office is really blah, blah, blah. And I just go on to bad mouth.
This is so inappropriate. It's so, actually it's extremely rude. And it's actually very strange how somebody is going to put something as such, because obviously somebody is going to see it. That's why it's on social media. Your account is not really private most of the time. And definitely you might even lose your job.
Best foot forward. We're almost finished, but
yes.
Thank you notes, still a yes.
Thank you notes, yes, you still, if you have an address or if you'd like to be more attentive, you can definitely send the thank you notes. I love thank you notes. I think it goes a long way.
Well, Maryanne Parker, Manor of Manners, thank you for being here. We appreciate it so very much. Check out her website. It's very helpful. And you can check out her book, too, Posh Overnight.